what about her heavenly queenship? Where do you get that? And I said, well, as soon as the conquest is complete, as soon as the Ark of the Covenant is carried up into the royal capital of the earthly Jerusalem, you can see how David arranges for the son of David to be crowned as the king of Israel in 1 Kings chapter 2, where everybody is bowing and prostrating themselves before Solomon on the day that he is crowned. He's anointed by the high priest, and he's also enthroned. But in 1 Kings 2, verses 15 through 18, he's enthroned and everybody's bowing. But in verse 19, who should walk into the royal court but his own mother? And what does he do on his own coronation day? He arose from his throne, and in the presence of all, he bows and prostrates himself before his mother to honor her in the presence of all. And when he arose, he issues a royal decree, bring me a seat, a throne of honor. Because on the day that he was enthroned as the son of David, she was enthroned as the queen mother of the son of David. And not just for that day, but from that point on. I never noticed that. I said, I hadn't either until the early church fathers just connected the dots. But I said, the queen mother becomes a permanent fixture in the kingdom of David, which foreshadows the kingdom of God that Jesus comes to proclaim and inaugurate because he is the son of David. He is the king of Israel. And just as you find in John 1 and 2, a new Adam and Eve and a new creation, in Luke 1 and 2, a new Moses and the Ark of the New Covenant, in Matthew 1 and 2, you find what the early church fathers discovered, and that is Jesus is the son of David and Mary is the queen mother. In Matthew chapter 1, verse 1, the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, and then you have all of those unpronounceable names from in the Hebrew, but you have 3 sets of 14 from Abraham to David. 3 more sets of 14. You have another set of 14 from David to the exile, and then the 3rd set of 14 generations from the exile to Joseph and Mary. And I said, why does Matthew arrange it in terms of 3 cycles of 14 generations? Because he's writing to Jews, Jewish Christians who know Hebrew. And in Hebrew, there are no numbers. There are only letters that are assigned numerical value, like in Latin with Roman numerals. And David's name consists of 3 consonants. And when you look at Daleth While Daleth, you will see the number 14. So 3 sets of 14 generations, 3 letters to David's name, 14 generations for each of the 3 cycles. This is Matthew kind of giving a nod and a wink to his Jewish Christian readers to show that Jesus is the son of David, coming to restore the kingdom of David. And then in Matthew 1, this all fulfills the prophecy of Isaiah 7:14. That is what? A virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and he shall be called Emmanuel, God with us. I said, Bill, you go back to Isaiah 7 and you'll see that the person that Isaiah is talking about in his oracle is the queen mother. Because as I said, she's a permanent fixture in the kingdom of David. Every time a new king is identified, his queen mother is identified. Why not the wife of Solomon? Well, that would have been a little tricky because he had 700 wives and 300 concubines, but he had only one mother. If it was a wife, the most you could hope for would be, like Queen for a Day, like that old TV show that we saw when we were kids, But he has only one mother. She's the wife of his father. She oversaw the smooth succession. She sits at his right hand as a royal counselor. And every time you see a new king, you see the queen mother. And in fact, Jeremiah and the other prophets give oracles. Thus saith the Lord, say to the king and the queen mother. And I pointed out how the only chapter of the Hebrew Bible that is really originating from a woman is Proverbs 31. And who is that? The queen mother of King Lemuel. And so when the Davidic kingdom was conquered and the city of Jerusalem was destroyed in 587, it created the greatest crisis of faith in Israelite history. What has happened to the Davidic line? What has happened to the Davidic covenant? What has happened to the Davidic kingdom? And Matthew is showing us that God has maintained that covenant line, the dynasty, through Joseph and Mary, the queen mother. And so what you find there is essentially that Jesus is the son of David. Mary is the virginal queen mother of the son of David and the fulfillment of Isaiah's oracle. And I said, you find all three of these, creation, Exodus, and the kingdom, braided together, triangulated, if you will, in Revelation 11 and 12. So we opened the Bible and we turned to Revelation 11. I pointed out verse 19, how in John's vision, you have 7 trumpets that are blown, and then a city that falls. Only it's not the old Jericho, it's the old Jerusalem, the earthly capital that was a prototype that now is giving way to the heavenly Jerusalem, where the Son of David, the Son of God, is enthroned in the heavenly Jerusalem. And so John looks to see what happens when the 7th trumpet is blown and the kingdom of Christ is revealed. Suddenly God's temple in heaven was opened and the ark of his covenant was seen inside his temple. And I said, the significance of that might be lost to us, but it wasn't lost to first century Jewish Christian readers, because they knew what had happened to the ark. Shortly before, the Babylonians came in 587, destroyed Jerusalem, demolished the temple, and desecrated the sanctuary. Before they could desecrate the Ark of the Covenant, the Spirit of the Lord provoked Jeremiah the prophet to send men, and they went into the Holy of Holies one night. They pulled out the Ark of the Covenant, and in 2 Maccabees 2, verses 4 through 8, you can see what Jeremiah did. He took the Ark of the Covenant back to the hill country, back into a cave. He covered over the cave, and people from the temple demanded, where is it? The ark will not be revealed until the mercy of the Lord is restored to his people. And so they went searching, but they never found it. And they never did find it until Harrison Ford. You know, the movie was based upon the fact that it was lost but never found. And so John is telling his readers, I've seen it, I found it. And so he goes on to say, the ark of his covenant was seen within his temple. Flashes of lightning, thunder, an earthquake, and then suddenly a great sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. And she's giving birth to the Christ, the Messiah, the King. And I said, but back it up. Look at that more closely. Because on the one hand, he just said in 11:19, I saw the ark of the covenant in the temple of God. And then a verse later, he says, then a sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet. She's crowned with 12 stars. Every one of John's Jewish Christian readers would say, wait a second, stop, rewind. You saw the ark of the covenant? Where is it? What condition is it in? How do we fetch it? And John never says a word to address those questions that would have been on the minds of all of his Jewish Christian readers. Instead, he seems to change the subject. I saw the ark of the covenant in the temple of God, and I saw a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, crowned with 12 stars. Great, tell us more about the woman after you've told us where to find the ark. But he wasn't talking about the ark of the old covenant, Bill. He's talking about the ark of the new covenant, not in the earthly Jerusalem, but in the heavenly, not in a man-made temple, but in the temple of God. So when he describes the woman, he's not describing something other than the ark. He is showing us the ark of the new covenant. And what does she contain? The word made flesh, the bread of life. But what else does he describe her as? The woman, clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, crowned with 12 stars. And who knows and attacks that woman? The ancient serpent. Because back in Genesis 3, verse 15, what was the first promise of the gospel? That a woman will crush the head of the serpent through her seed. And so the ancient serpent is attacking the new Eve as she's giving birth to the new Adam, because he knows that this new creation is going to mark his defeat. And sure enough, by the end of that vision, the devil is defeated. So not only is he the new Adam and she's the new Eve, but we have a new Exodus, a kind of new Moses and the Ark of the New Covenant. But look at the woman. Because she's clothed with the sun, the moon is under her feet, and she's crowned with what? 12 stars. What is a crown of 12 stars? The zodiac? I don't think so. It's the 12 tribes of Israel. She is the queen mother giving birth to the son of David, the son of God, the Messiah, the Christ. All three converge here in one image, in one vision. You have the new Eve. You have the Ark of the New Covenant. You have the Queen Mother of the Son of David in the heavenly Jerusalem in the temple of God. And so you have her queenship. You have her assumption. You have her Immaculate Conception. All three rolled into one. And he's like, you are getting really loud. And I realized I was shouting. And there were a rumble of steps, one floor above. The jig was up. They had found us. I could hear my sister. They're in his office. They come down the stairs and like two referees trying to pull apart two prize fighters right before I delivered the knockout punch. Kimberly said, you promised. And I said, he started it. Barb said, you promised. No, I didn't start it. Like two little kids separated by their moms, it was really kind of awkward. So we went upstairs, chastened and, sort of quiet. And we just kind of sat there and talked about, the things that moms and dads talk about, diapers and, all kinds of things. And I kept eyeing him like, oh, I came so close.